Here we go. First term. A linear expression and we talked a little bit about this yesterday when we were talking about like terms. A linear expression is an expression that has only exponents of 1 on the variable. And often the 1 is imaginary. Remember we talked about that? That like we don't put, if we have something like this, get a different color. 6x, what's the exponent of the x?
1.
It's an imaginary 1. So linear expressions will have only exponents of 1. Okay? If it has an exponent that is not 1, it's not a linear expression. Okay? If it has a 2 or 3 or 4, it's not a linear expression. So this section, we're only talking about linear expressions. The exponents will only be 1. Yes?
What is an expression?
An expression is just a group of variables and constants, basically. It does not have an equal sign. Okay? Okay. So here's some examples of linear expressions. Negative 4x. This is linear because why? Caroline?
Does it have like a square?
Good. What is the exponent?
1.
1. What is the coefficient?
4.
What's the coefficient, Alexis?
4. There's no more.
What's the coefficient, Nicholas?
X.
No, what's the coefficient? Finn? Negative 4. The coefficient is negative 4. And this is linear because x is to the first. It's just always imaginary. We don't put x to the first. But if there's nothing there, then it's to the first. A couple other examples. This is a linear expression, y. 3x plus 5y is linear because why? Why would this be linear? Kellen? Good. Notice x has nothing, no exponent, which means it's technically to the first. And y also has no exponent, which means it's also to the first. Okay? If anything has an exponent that's not 1, it's not linear.
Is there going to be anything different from this than yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
How do you find out which power? 1, 6, x1, like.
No, it's not wrong if you put the 1, but it's simplest form not to put the 1
Okay.
as an exponent. Okay, so then a couple examples of nonlinear are ones such as this, 1/2 x squared. Why is that nonlinear? Noah?
Because it's to the power of 2.
Good, because our x is to the power of 2 and not 1, so it's nonlinear. Why is this nonlinear?
7.
Why is this nonlinear? Bridget?
Because it's raised to the 3rd power.
Very good. The first term has an x that's raised to the 3rd power. So anytime you have a variable with an exponent out of 1, it's not linear. Okay? Or this one, because we have x to the 5th. Okay? So this is just this chapter, or this section, we're going to deal with only linear. So only exponents of 1. Nicholas?
Is it even possible to put like x to the power of 2?
Uh-huh. It is. We just aren't doing it this chapter. Finn?
Is it possible to put, or can you put x5 but not to the, like, is that a thing?
5x.
Instead of 5x.
Yeah, but we don't usually. But you can. You'd probably put a time sign in between it.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, so here's what we're doing today. We are combining expressions. So yesterday we just simplified them. Now, today we're going to combine them either by adding or subtracting. So there's 2 methods you can use. You can either add horizontally or you can add vertically. So it's kind of like adding any numbers. You can put them, stack them on top of each other and add, or you can sort of leave them next to each other and add. It's the same thing with linear expressions. The key is that we always need to combine like terms to get it into simplest form. Okay? So let's look at an example. And I'm going to do both methods. Okay, we have letter A. This is our first example. X minus 2 plus 3x plus 8. So this isn't simplest form. we have to combine these two expressions by adding. It's going to be important that you always check what operation you're doing, because we're going to start with adding, but then the second half of this is going to be subtracting. And so you have to just make sure that you check, what am I doing, adding or subtracting? Right now we're adding. It's always important, right, in math to figure out what you're supposed to do to the numbers. We're going to add. So let's start with the horizontal method, which is just to remove the parentheses and combine like terms. Remove the parentheses and combine like terms. Once we've done both methods, you can choose which one you like best, and you can do that one when you do your math. But I'm going to show you both so that you can choose the one that makes sense to you. Horizontal, remove parentheses, combine like terms. So let's look at how this would look horizontally. The first step would be this. So just notice how I removed all the parentheses. X minus 2 plus 3x plus 8. And then we just combine the like terms. So as we were talking about at the beginning of class, let me make sure I didn't write anything else. Okay. Let's rewrite this just so that we're very clear. X plus negative 2 plus 3x plus 8. And then we can see our like terms, right? And we can keep our signs straight. All right, the first, give me two like terms. Lily.
X and 3x.
Good, x and 3x. So we would first combine x plus 3x. What's the imaginary coefficient in front of x? 1, right? This is actually a 1. So we just combine those two coefficients. Lily, what do we get?
You get 4x.
4x. 1x plus 3x is 4x. And then my next two like terms are what? Nicholas?
Negative 2 and 8.
-2 and 8. When we combine those like terms, what do we get?
Positive 6.
+6. So 4x plus 6. Okay? And that is simplest form because those are not like terms. We just leave it just like that. Okay, that's the horizontal method. So it's horizontal because it just stayed all on one line. And then vertical, we'll stack them on top of each other and add that way. So let's see what this looks like. For the vertical method, you line up the terms on top of one another. So you put the like terms on top of one another and then add. Combine, right? So this is what this looks like. So vertically we line them up. X minus 2, and then we're adding the second expression, 3x plus 8. So then you line up the like terms, and then you add. So if we add the constants, we're going to end up with the same number. -2 plus 8 is +6. And 3x plus x is 4x. So we need to combine these, get it into simplest form. Choose which method you want, horizontal or vertical. Do you have a question? What's your question?
What if you have two different variables and you want to do the vertical way? Is that possible?
It is possible. Let's see if we get an example like that. Will you remind me at the end if we don't see one, and I'll show you what to do? That's a good question. Okay. Horizontally, remember we take away not -11. 11y. Take away the parentheses. And then I'm going to rewrite it with plus signs in between so that I can clearly see all my terms. Parentheses around the 5 is just because I was separating it from the plus, right? Okay, now I can see my like terms. So I'm going to start with my y's. I've got -4y plus 11y. If I combine those, what do I get, Lily?
+7.
7y. Very good. Okay, and then if I combine my constants, 3 plus negative 5 gives me what? Caroline? Negative 2.
I thought it was plus. Oh,
You can also say this.
plus 7y.
Oh, yes, that's what I did.
Which one is simpler? Which one is more simple form? Bridget?
7y minus.
Yeah, this is more simple form.
Would the second one still be right?
The second one would still be right. I would like you to start moving away from that, but it's not wrong yet. Eventually I will make it a positive. Because it's technically, if you're adding a negative 2, you're subtracting 2. So you might as well just say minus 2. Okay, vertically, this is how we'd line this up. We'd say negative 4y plus 3 plus 11y minus 5. Okay, and then if we sort of look at these as like terms, we do the same thing. 3 plus negative 5, or 3 minus 5 is negative 2, and negative 4 plus 11 is 7y. So either way you do it, as long as you do the math right and keep your signs straight, you get the same answer. So you choose what you like.
How do you know, how do you know if you do plus or minus? Because is there like an extra plus sign in there, or extra?
If it's a plus, you add. If it's a minus, you subtract.
Well, yeah, but like.
That's always the rule. If it's a plus, you add. If it's a minus, you subtract.
But like in that one, how do you know?
It's really important to double check the sign that's in the middle of your expressions. Are you adding or subtracting? Bless you. To subtract, you are going to add the opposite. This is like when we were doing integers. We added the opposite, which means we switch each sign of the second term. We add their opposites. Switch each sign of the second term. And then add. So let's look at what this looks like. Okay, we've got 5x plus 6 minus negative x plus 6. We're going to add the opposite of the second term. The first term stays the same, but rather than subtracting, we're going to add the opposite, which means we need to change every sign in the second term. Natalie?
Can we cancel out the 2 minuses or no?
That's technically what we're doing, yes. But make sure we also have to change this sign when we do that, okay? So this is going to come down, 5x plus 6. We are going to, instead of subtract, we're going to add the opposites of what was in the parentheses. What's the opposite of negative x? Bridget? Positive x.
Wouldn't it, because those negative signs are next to each other, wouldn't we turn them both into positives?
Did we do that? So now what kind of x do we have? Yes. Good. Okay, now back to what I was saying. We're going to add the opposites. The opposite of negative x is positive x. What's the opposite of positive 6? What's the opposite of plus 6? Caroline? Minus 6. So you take the opposites. You change the sign in the middle to plus, and you take the opposite of each term inside. Okay? Yes.
Why did you do that for the first
I did. What's the opposite of negative x?
No. For like the first set of friends.
Only for the second term. You only do this for the one that comes after the negative sign. Only for the second term. So as soon as you hit that negative sign, then you switch the signs after. You don't do it before. Okay? The first one stays exactly the same. You hit the negative sign, change it to a plus, take the opposites. And now we're just adding like we did before. Kellen?
So could you technically say x plus negative 6?
X. Yeah, you could say x plus negative 6, yes. And that's probably what I'm going to do next. So if I remove my, oh gosh, that's the wrong one that I want to be using. If I remove my parentheses, 5x plus 6, and then I'm just combining by adding, I'm going to do what you said, Kellen, and just separate these all by addition so I can see what signs I have with what terms. Now I'm adding, I can just combine the like terms. I removed my parentheses. I'm doing the horizontal method. And then let's combine like terms. So we have 5x plus x. What does that give us? 6x. Good. And then my constants, 6 and -6. What does that give us, Charlie? 0. Do we need to say plus 0? No. I would not even say it because it doesn't matter.
I said it.
Set this up properly. Remember, it's going to be super important to always notice what operation you're doing because that changes how you set things up. It's not plus anymore. So there's an important step that we have to do here before we can combine. Noah.
For 8y, do you put that as minus? 'Cause it's positive?
Exactly. 8y is going to become a negative 8y because it was positive and we're taking the opposite.
Yeah.
My first term stays the same, 7y plus 5. Now I come to my minus sign. This is where things change. The minus becomes a plus. And then inside my parentheses, I change the sign of every term. I take its opposite. 8y was positive, so it needs to become a negative 8y. -6 should become what? Plus 6. Positive 6 plus 6. Take the opposites. Now we're adding. So add whichever method you like. From here, add in whichever way you choose. I prefer the horizontal method, so I'm going to take away. I'm going to take away my parentheses, and I'm going to put plus signs between each term. And then I will combine like terms. So 7y plus -8y gives me -1y. You can, yes, I would love if you would just say -y. But I feel like if I just said -y, everyone would say, why did you say -y? And then I'd have to say, well, because there's an imaginary 1 in front of the y. But you all know that already, so that's wonderful. How did we do? You getting this? Isn't this the answer? You can. This is a good question. Noah said he did it the opposite way. What did you get?
I got 11 minus 1y.
Good. Is that also correct?
Yes.
Yes. What property says that that's correct? Commutative property of addition. You can add in any order. The key is that he had the right sign in front of the y, so that is correct as well. Oliver.
I ended up with -1y.
Yep. Check your signs. You must not have switched. Make sure you switch the sign on the 6. Should be a positive. Okay, let's try this one in your notes. I'm going to give you about a minute to do this on your own. The whole thing all the way through. Walk me through. First step, what would you do if you were teaching me how to do this problem? What should I do?
Erase the I made the middle and right things up plus
The middle and right things.
the middle to the right.
Okay.
Addition.
Okay, I'm going to go back here.
So I did m minus 3 plus
Yes.
m
Yep.
plus -12
Minus 12. Very good.
plus -12.
That's fine. Plus -12 is fine.
And then I did m plus m, which is 2m.
Okay, good. So basically, hold on, I'm going to do this. Right? M plus m, which is
2m.
2m.
And then I did minus 3 plus -12.
Yes.
Which is 15.
What kind of a 15? Negative 15. That is, and then you're done? Did you do this? Is that correct? Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's fine. As long as your signs are with the right term, because it's easy. 2x plus 4 plus 5y minus 7. Okay, so now you were asking vertically how we would add this, right? So vertically what we would do is we'd have to kind of make a separate column. We'd say 2x plus 4 plus, and I think what I would do is I'd move my plus way out here, and I'd say 5y minus 7. Because then I keep my terms, my separate like terms, lined up. Do you see that? And then we would just add, so keeping the like terms together, we get negative 3. 2x plus 0 is what?
0. I mean 2.
2x. And 5y plus 0 is?
0.
So that's how you would do it. You just need to give each term a separate column so that it doesn't add with something that's not like it. Okay?
Is subtraction